both actually. You have to be God-fearing because you have to fear the punishment on the Day of Judgment. At the same time, you have to be God-loving as well. See, you have to understand, the best way that you can actually understand what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is if you actually see the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will see the exact definition. He is the awwal and the akhir, the first and the last. What we need to see is understand what the personality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And once we understand that, you will learn to love Him and fear Him at the same time. It's a difficult concept to grasp. It's almost like what you might feel with your parents. For example, you will love them and you also fear them as well because you don't want to get punished or you don't want to be on in their bad books. So you can think of it in that way.
Actually, it is love. Like the person you love most, you also fear that he doesn't become angry with you.
So is it that I want to be thankful to the person who created me, who created all the bounties which I am enjoying, or am I fearing hell or looking for paradise? What should be the right approach?
Right. See, whatever you do, whatever good deed you do, your intention should be that this is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that you do, even if I study, even if I go to work, I do it because I want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to earn a righteous living. I want to earn halal rozi. Right? So everything that we do, all of our actions have to have an intention behind it. So do a little bit of good work, but do it with full conviction that I'm doing it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we try to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we try for two things. Obviously, we want that in the end, we are with the winners and not with the losers. We want to be winners in the end, at the end of the day. So that's
I just like to add one more thing, that this is the first lecture that I'm hearing that is talking about Islam as a universal religion. I'm sorry to say, but most of the people, they've actually restricted Islam not even as a global religion, but as a cultural thing. A lot of Muslims say that you cannot be a Muslim if you don't keep a beard, या रोज़ा जो है वो खजूर से खोलना है, या इस तरह करना है. I mean, this is, such things actually don't make your religion universal. They're making your religion into a culture. So I personally believe that Islam is not a culture, it's not a global religion, it's a universal religion. It's for all mankind. Quran is the only book that says that addresses the humans.
Now what you mentioned is, it is true, it happens somewhere, but what you mentioned is examples of Sunnah, for example. And Sunnah we follow, I have Sahih Bukhari's Sahih Hadith over here. And when we follow the Sunnah, it's just like, we have, nowadays we say, I want to be like Brad Pitt, and I want to be like Tom Cruise, and I want to be like Nicole Kidman, and I want to be like this and this and this. We have many, we are actually fans of a lot of people who are out there in this world right now. But the greatest personality we somehow seem to forget. So the people who keep a beard or who do certain things in a certain way, they are just following the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet because they want to emulate his life. They want to be like him. They want to be like the greatest person that ever came on this earth. And they want to be like him, that's why they become fans of his and they say, everything that we do, we will actually do it for that. And believe it or not, a lot of the times when you're following Sunnah and you're actually walking around the street, every time you do something, you double check yourself. Because you know in your heart that you're representing one of the greatest messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you double check yourself that if I'm doing something wrong, I'm misrepresenting and I'm not doing justice to that great personality. So it obviously acts as a little check and balance on you. So that's the only reason why people do certain sunnahs. Some people take it to the extreme. Like I said, there's no compulsion in religion. Once you start reading the Holy Quran, you fall in love with the book and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah. And throughout your life, you want to follow the Prophet and what he says. You want to make sure you represent him properly, because it's a very high thing, basically.
That's right.
If, for example, a person like me, I do fear going to hell or having the rewards of paradise, but I also love my Creator. And love of God does not necessarily have to be reflected in, like for example, कि आप नमाज पढ़ो, वो सब कुछ है, that's a part of that, right? But I love my God a lot, right? A lot of people fashion के icon में लोग कहते हैं कि I'm a spiritual Muslim. I would say that I'm a very, very spiritual Muslim, but I'm not a practical Muslim. I'll be very honest about that. So what would I do? Should I fear God in terms of going to hell? Should I long for paradise? Or should I just love my Creator for what I already have?
See, first of all, if I say I love my parents, for example, then loving my parents doesn't mean that I go outside and I sing songs about them. or it doesn't mean that I keep telling everybody, yes, I love my parents, yes, I love my parents, but whatever they tell me to do, I don't do it, right? So love for them would be listening to them, respecting them, and doing whatever they say,
Obeying them.
right? Obeying them, without any preconditions.
And the one
In the same way, if we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are His instructions, right here. Okay? These are his instructions, clear as anything, right here for you, the instructions. And if we say that we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not for me to actually go outside and start singing hymns and so on and so forth. That is one form of it, but that's not the ultimate love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ultimate love is you submit to Him. Islam has actually two meanings. One is peace, the other is submission to God. And submission to God, what a word it is. Submission means you absolutely submit. You say, I am nobody, I am your servant, I submit to you. Whatever you say, I do. You say jump, I say how high. That's submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever He says, we do. Absolutely, without questioning it. So that is the absolute love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you want to express it, there is no better way than to actually follow what He's asked us to do.
Like, can it be molded into different things? Like, you mentioned that, I don't practice, like, I don't pray 5 times a day or something like that. So, is that allowed? But I do love Allah and I do believe in one Allah. Is that allowed?
If you ask me if it's allowed or not, I can only give you reference from the Holy Quran. It mentions again and again, Waqimu salata wa atu zakata. Say your prayers, establish your prayers as a matter of fact. Establish them and give your charity. So anything that has been clearly as that mentioned in the Holy Quran, that's absolutely clear. So as Muslims, if we say we are Muslims, it is not for us to actually decide that no, I know what's better for me. What I'll do is, I'll just love Allah and I will not pray and I will not do X, Y and Z. We are nobody to say that we'll do this and we'll not do this. These are the instructions straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is our responsibility as Muslims to follow them to the letter. Obviously, we know in the world there are people who are not following it. There are people who choose different paths. That's their choice. Our thing is to actually educate people, inform them. If they want to follow it, fantastic. Don't want to follow it, it's up to them.
Does Islam provide an alternate system, like an alternate to capitalism? Like earlier, communism was an alternate to capitalism, and US worked so hard throughout the Cold War just to beat down
The Islamic Sharia is the best system there could possibly be. If you want to research on it, read about the Islamic laws. There's no comparison. Islam provides the best human rights laws with regards to finances, with regards to human rights, everything. So if you actually research into Islamic Sharia, you will inshallah get the answer.
There's this people think, especially the human rights, UNHCR and all of them, they think Islam is very extreme. It's punishment if you just steal something, and Islam has this punishment of cutting your hands. So that's like barbaric.
Right. I'll actually explain that. See, Islam says all the religions of the world, they say don't do bad things, right? They say no. I'm pretty sure none of the religions will say go and steal. Islam says the same thing: don't steal, don't rob, don't rape, don't do X, Y, and Z, right? Islam is the only religion that not only tells you what to do and what not to do, but how to do it. Okay? We'll start with stealing, for example. Islam says if you have savings, 2.5% of it every year give as zakat to the poor people. If you can give more, give more. Sadaqah, khairah, whatever you want to give. So give as much as possible and give to the poor people. Then, Quran says, if then a person steals, chop off their hands. Which means that now that you've actually started providing to everybody, even then if somebody steals, chop off their hands. So tell me, will the rate of robbery increase or decrease? If everybody is giving zakat, all Muslims know of their responsibilities. They are giving charity, and at the same time, you have put this strict law into place that don't steal. So, but this law will absolutely discourage people from stealing. So we are saying don't steal, and we have a rule to back it up. In the same way, many religions say we should all be brothers. It's all brotherhood. How do you implement brotherhood? Islam has the answer. You offer your namaz in the mosque. You go over there, stand shoulder to shoulder with the person who is poor, he's rich, whoever he is, black or white, whatever he is. I'm standing next to him. It's practicing brotherhood within my own community. On Friday prayer, I go to a bigger mosque, city-wide brotherhood. And at the time of Hajj, it's worldwide brotherhood. Right? So we have answers to all kinds of brotherhood, how we can actually practice it.